Picture this. You're sitting with your friends, other moms who have gone through a divorce or are contemplating, who maybe didn't picture their lives co-parenting, but are there with you. You're sharing your stories, you're inspiring each other, validating and challenging each other through your shared experiences. You're belly laughing, tearing up, and enjoying your favorite cup of coffee all at the same time. You don't judge each other. You empower each other to continue on your journey, to heal, and to just be you, whatever that looks like. Welcome to Co-Parenting and Coffee.
Hello.
Hi.
Yay.
How's it going?
It's sort of spring, but I think it's gonna snow, so
Yeah, well, this is
happy
like,
about
what
that.
is it that the meme that goes around that's like winter, fake spring, like real, like, and then this is the whatever that's phase is where it's like second winter
Back. Yeah.
and then real spring. But like, we'll see. For
I'm
those of
refusing
you who
to
don't live
accept it.
in the Northeast US, maybe you relate to us or maybe you don't, but I
Well,
have
you know,
17 different jackets for every type of weather.
literally. It's so painful.
Jill, are you feeling better?
I am finally back. Okay. I don't think I've had the stomach bug in like, I don't know, since I was pregnant with my daughter. And I swear to God, I like didn't know I was gonna make it through.
It's
Like it was
literally, I
so
think
bad.
the worst thing. I think the last time, knock on wood, I got
Yeah.
a stomach bug. My youngest child was an infant, like
Mm.
maybe 3 or 4 months old. And my sister and her husband were in town, came to town to visit. And during the night, I literally was like so ill. And I
Yeah.
was breastfeeding and
Oh,
it was miserable.
it
Absolutely
just came
horrible.
on like a switch too. It wasn't like
Yeah.
a progressive, like, oh, I'm not feeling good and then sick. It was like I walked to one side of my house, which is not big, and then I walked to the other side. And by the time I got back to like my bedroom, which was like 4 steps, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna puke. Like it was like there was nothing in between. It was awful. But
Poor
I'm
Joe.
fine now.
I feel like these bugs are just going
Oh
around.
no, it needs like we need some warm air, open some windows, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this is why schools have April vacation, just so everyone has a chance to like quarantine and get better. Although then they travel and go to
To
other places
talk.
and pick up
Yeah.
germs on airplanes, but so it
I'm
goes.
like ready for summer. Like I'm ready for summer vacation even, which it's like it feels like okay, Christmas is over and now I feel like I'm already like into next school year. Like it's like it's
Yeah.
going so fast.
Oh yeah, my oldest who's in fifth grade had like the first like meeting yesterday with the principal of the middle school because that's happening next year. Yes, please send help. I'm
Yeah,
not
big.
okay.
Yeah, big.
Not okay.
No.
Um, I just can't believe this is happening. I remember when we were like looking at like starting kindergarten, thinking, "Oh my gosh, fifth grade! Look at those kids. They're so big. It's so far away for us." And it's like a blink of an eye.
I know.
We're
It's like
here.
what do they say? Like the days are long, but the years are short, and that is
Yep. Yeah.
so,
100% true.
so true.
100% true.
Let's talk about our quote for today.
Oh yeah, we have a good inspirational quote and we have some good news. Today's quote is, "You can't save people. You can only love them while they learn how to save themselves." And that's by Lori Deschene. And Lori, if I mispronounced your last name, I'm sorry. Goes really, it's so interesting because Jill has this great calendar and this was the quote for today. And it's so fitting because we have such exciting good news. Co-Parenting and Coffee has gotten our first sponsor. The company is called Soberlink. For those of you who had experience with a partner or maybe yourself has experienced alcohol use disorder or issues in your divorce or separation with alcohol, you may be familiar with it. And our guest today is Laura Crossett, and she has a great and inspiring story. And she'll talk with us about addiction and, you know, alcohol use disorder and how that can impact your relationship and your kids and how, you know, how that can be, how you can get help navigating that. So we're excited for you to hear the coffee date with Laura. I had to do solo because
Which
Jill's
I was busy vomiting, so I didn't get to do. And I was so excited. I mean, I think, you know, alcoholism and addiction is such an important topic. It's such a relevant topic in this space.
Yeah.
And I tried so hard to make it
Jill really did. And I was like,
happen.
girl, take a knee down, please. Just
Yeah,
go.
it was
Yeah, yeah. I think having had it, had experience with addiction in my family, certainly this is a topic that's I think is really important to cover because, it impacts the co-parenting relationship, it impacts the relationship the child has with the parent who's
amazing.
suffering from addiction. And so yeah, this is something maybe we'll have to revisit again at some point, but this was a really, really great interview.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoy it. Well, I'm excited and delighted to welcome to the pod Laura Crossett. Laura is the Business Development Outreach Manager at Soberlink, engaging with professionals in addiction recovery and family law to promote effective alcohol monitoring systems. Laura is a certified alcohol and drug counselor level 2 with, let's see, CADC, 2IA, ICADC. We might have to talk about what those mean. And with CCAPP and has a BA from the University of Colorado at Boulder. She holds memberships with the Behavioral Health Association of Providers, the Women's Association of Addiction Treatment, and treatment professionals in alumni services, underscoring her commitment to the behavioral health community. In active recovery since 2007, Laura attributes her success in maintaining long-term sobriety to a monitoring program she completed after inpatient treatment. Her firsthand experience is a testament to how valuable sober monitoring programs can be in the substance abuse treatment continuum of care. Welcome, Laura, to Co-Parent
Hi.
Coffee. Hi.
Hi, Ellie. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. It's just you and me today because our poor Jill is at home with a stomach bug, and we hope Jill gets well soon. Get well soon, Jill. I thought before we dive in, that, we kind of love to talk about coffee because this is co-parenting and coffee, and we're sitting here. My coffee is empty, but I may have to go get another cup. Um, do you drink coffee? And if so, what's your favorite?
I do, and I start every morning with I just graduated to espressos. So I was a regular coffee drinker for many years, and then I just got one of those Nespresso
Oh,
machines.
those are great.
So every morning I have a double espresso, and then I'm off to work. So I get up at 5:30. So it's an early day but it's essential to start with a double shot now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Well, that's great. I do love a good espresso myself. And especially I remember when I came back from Italy and espresso there, of course, is amazing. And then I went to this
Mm.
nondescript coffee place here in Boston and was very disappointed because it did not compare at all.
I
Well,
can
so
imagine.
digging in, thank you so much for joining us. Soberlink is certainly a company that I've become aware of since entering the divorce universe. Not something that was involved in my particular situation, but I know others who it's been a real, in some ways, lifesaver in sort of helping to keep both parents in the picture and to just provide a little sense of security for those folks. Do you wanna describe? I have so much to cover with you, but do you want to describe what Soberlink is and give us any background on that?
Yeah, Soberlink is a remote alcohol monitoring system. Basically, it is a handheld breathalyzer, alcohol only. The device itself has a digital camera in it, so the participant, each time they submit a test, the device takes takes their picture, and then those pictures go through facial recognition software with their initial master photo when the participant initially activates their device. And then those test results are sent in real time. We've been around since 2011, and we work very, very much with the family law community as well as the addiction recovery community. And we work a lot in workplace compliance with doctors and nurses, health
Mhm.
programs, and the airline pilots, the airline industry.
Wow, I hadn't considered that it has that those other applications, but of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
So, some of those major airlines that you fly on, we don't need to name them because there's only a handful, but we work with all of them. And their health programs, when they have a pilot that needs to be on a monitoring program, they're on for about 5 years. We're just one part of it, though they're also involved with some sort of, community support meetings, whether that's AA or as well as, therapists. And, it's a more robust, but we're an important piece of that because of the real-time reporting of the device. So,
Wow, that's so cool. I didn't know it
yeah.
took the picture. It makes a lot of sense, right? You getting your buddy to blow into it.
Yes, so unfortunately, I work right near the compliance department, so I do see, tamper attempts when people, beyond the facial recognition software, we have other tamper protection features in the device. So we see all the creative ways people try and outsmart the system. But our test records are court approved. We're approved in all family courts nationwide and I believe in Canada. And our family law programs, I can go into those, but they're just a great opportunity for both parents to still provide childcare, even when one may be struggling with alcohol use disorder on some level, whether it's just binge drinking, not just, but whether it's, being advised by the court that they should not be drinking when they're with the kids, or there is a, some more seriously diagnosed alcohol use disorder. Our Soberlink monitoring programs gives both parents an opportunity to spend time with the kids while the one parent is accountable to the Soberlink system.
Wow. And I know that it does provides a level of peace of mind to the other parent who is, concerned for the safety and well-being of their child, or children for that matter. So that's terrific. Certainly thrilled that the next time I get on an airplane, I know that. I
That, and if you're going in for surgery, that type
Yeah,
of thing,
yeah. Oh,
all
yeah,
those,
yes. Literally.
basically it's our licensed professionals program. So doctors, nurses, and pilots, and some lawyers programs too. Basically, programs where a licensed professional really can have a huge impact on somebody's life if they're not, if they're under the influence.
Yeah.
There are these programs. Every state has these programs, which is pretty amazing. I didn't know about those until I started working here, about these licensed professionals programs. But it's very reassuring to know there's just checks and balances in place.
Absolutely. 100% agree. So you have chosen to dedicate your work to this helping others, right, with alcohol use disorder. When we started the call, I was saying alcoholism, but it sounds like that's maybe the old terminology for alcohol use disorder. If you want to maybe explain that, and also why they've changed the terminology, and what your journey was like to get to this point.
So yeah, the DSM official diagnosis has changed from alcoholism to alcohol use disorder, recognizing it as more of a disorder. Same with substance use. It's not really called substance abuse anymore. It's a substance use disorder. I don't know if that's just making it more palatable as we, as the years go on, but I know that alcoholism is still widely used. It's used even in recovery meetings. The term alcoholic is widely used, but technically in treatment professional settings, it's definitely called alcohol use disorder, or AUD.
Yeah. Well,
But
I could see it becomes, if you say I'm an alcoholic, right? It's almost like defining you. Whereas if you say I have
mhm,
alcohol use disorder, right? That's not what you are, it's what you have, right? So
right,
that's empowering.
right. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, personally, it's when you look at like your life path, it's just interesting how I ended up here. I was actively using alcohol and other substances till I was 35 years old, until my life kind of circled the drain and I needed help. I was quite resistant at first, but then a couple months into it, I realized I had no idea that I could have the happiness and fulfillment and, not live a life of shame and guilt. I didn't know all those things were really possible until I got into recovery. And then when I completed inpatient treatment, which I did for 90 days. I then did a 90-day outpatient treatment with a sober living home. And then my family was still not really convinced that I was safe enough to be out on my own again. So I did a monitoring program for 18 months. So this was in 2007, 2008. Soberlink wasn't around yet. I did weekly random urinalysis, urine drug screens. And I did that for 18 months. And that's when I really saw the huge improvement in family dynamics, where I had previously destroyed all trust with my family, even though I had maybe, when I got out of treatment, 3-4 months sober under my belt. That's still not, it's just a blip of time. It's not enough time for families really to do that healing and to learn to trust again and feel safe to trust again.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I started doing this monitoring program where I could tell over the phone purely that things were getting better, because where they used to answer the phone, they would hesitate. They would be scared. I could hear the fear in their voice. All of a sudden, they're answering the phone like, hello, hi, how are you? And it was because they were receiving this ongoing data that, I was staying sober. And I was pretty active in the AA and NA community for about 7 or 8 years. And that's when I kind of got the nudge in my mind that maybe I want to work in this field. And so then I went back to school, got my certification for drug and alcohol counseling, and started working for a treatment provider, which was in 2015. And it was there where I ended up managing a monitoring program. And then we used Soberlink with our clients. And that's when I got exposed to the Soberlink technology and was so impressed with like the real-time data, the photos, that I could see as a treatment provider. I could see that it was the client. I could see when a client attempted to have somebody else test, or they attempted to outsmart the system. I just was so impressed with how I saw other families healing from a monitoring program, which was like what I had done years prior with my own family.
Yeah, right.
And so then to be working for a treatment provider that and being able to manage a monitoring program and seeing all of these families that I worked with, because then I got to work with the client and talk to the spouses or the parents or the adult children and see the changes happen in those families was just super inspiring. And then a couple years ago, it's time to pivot career-wise, and I thought this is the next indicated step, as they say. So I came on board here.
Amazing. Well, I
Yeah.
congratulate you for not just getting into recovery, but for dedicating your life to this work and to helping others. Addiction is an insidious thing, and I have experience in my own family with it, and I've seen sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly, but also how recovery can really transform a person. And as you were describing the tampering, I was thinking, gosh, how insidious is addiction that someone, would think they could try to outsmart this device and needing it so badly that needing to use or drink so badly that they're willing to try and trick the system.
Exactly. That's kind of makes so much sense as somebody in recovery that used to be not in recovery. I know that mindset of wanting to find the loophole. I get that. But it is where we see a lot of the tamper attempts are in our family law programs and the parenting programs. So it's just pretty tragic, because at that point that even though that their kids mean they're the most important things in the world to that person, there's still a substance that's just, like you said, so insidious and so powerful that they can't not use it, even though time with their kids is on the line.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, as I think about our, you know, why co-parenting and coffee exists is really to help parents navigating all of the elements of divorce and, that post-divorce life where, even if you were, I'm imagining that even if your divorce is final, this still could come up. It's not like addiction only happens when people are still married and once they're divorced, it doesn't happen. In fact, I could imagine maybe divorce can be a catalyst for
Oh
some.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you don't need a court order to get started with Soberlink. And the person that would be needing to use the breathalyzer device doesn't have to be the one to initiate signing up. All of our family law agreements require 2 signatures. Typically, that's both parents. Sometimes it's one parent and an attorney. It just depends on how you want it set up. But I
Yeah.
think it's important for your listeners to understand if they have a current spouse or a former spouse or the co-parent that is struggling, you're still completely entitled to ask for help, even though they're the ones that are struggling with a substance use issue. Your your struggle is completely valid and
Mhm.
is, you can call us for advice, but you yourself are entitled to help and support for being impacted by somebody else's substance use. Sometimes people feel they can't talk about it with anyone, but there are so many resources available,
Sure.
and they are not alone by any stretch of the imagination. It's important that they feel comfortable reaching out and know that there's support out there for them.
That's really um wonderful comments, and yeah, I think it can be a very isolating experience when you're with someone who, and I think that that can come along with some degree of maybe shame, or,
Mhm.
that how did I end up with someone like this? And I can imagine that yeah, getting the support can really help someone, whether they're considering, ending a relationship or a marriage, or they're dealing with someone who maybe they've already left. But I am sort of curious as I think about this, sometimes the partner of the person with, the addiction, doesn't realize that that there's a problem until eventually somehow along the way, the wool's kind of pulled out from over their eyes. And, then there can also be the realization of sort of that they've been codependent with this person and trying to, prevent them from using or drinking, or somehow trying or enabling them, right? And so,
Mhm.
sort of wondering, if you have any thoughts on what someone in that position might want to where they might want to start.
Yeah, I know that what we hear a lot when people call in is that they're being told they need to use Soberlink, for example, but the other person is the one with the drinking problem, and that's very common. Maybe for a large part of the relationship, both of you drank together.
Mhm.
That's okay. One person, I mean, because this is a disease now, it's officially recognized, you may be able to moderately drink but have all your responsibilities in place and never have the child be in danger, and never even ever consider getting in the car after having a beverage or two with the children. But the other person that you've been drinking with for years may not be wired that way, and they may make dangerous choices and decisions and put the safety of the children in jeopardy. So we'll hear that a lot if someone is looking to get enrolled or they think that their partner should be enrolled. It's okay that you may still enjoy a wine with dinner. You don't,
Mhm.
because someone else needs to be monitored. And sometimes we monitor both parents. We have
Mhm.
family law plans that are just parenting time only. So you only submit tests when you're with the kids, and then it goes back to the other person. So there's ways of getting enrolled with supportive family parenting plans that at the end of the day, it's the safety of the children that's paramount. And we can answer all those questions as far as figure out what is the right plan to get enrolled in. And then as far as the person that is concerned about the co-parent, their partner, I would recommend talked about this earlier, having kind of a contingency plan or a roadmap in place to cover all of those issues that may come up. So if there is a crisis, you know exactly how to act and what to do, whether that's with finances, an alternate place to stay, how you're going to emotionally cope, who's your support system, if there is a crisis, who you can lean on, all these things. It's really good to kind of have a plan in place
Yeah.
if things may suddenly turn into a crisis mode.
Yeah. I know from at least, the experience that I had, which was, a long time ago. Um, Al-Anon is a particular another great source
Mhm,
of support.
mhm,
They all also offer. Do they still offer Alateen? Is that still a
mhm.
thing for
Yeah.
kids for teens? How how can a parent support their kid through, you know, having a parent who has a substance use disorder? Are there recommendations that you have as a practitioner? Um,
Yeah, depending on the age of the child, I know that Hazelden Betty Ford has lovely free resources on their website for supporting children, kind of educating kids in a language or in a presentation that they can kind of understand. And then with teens, I mean, it's such a critical topic, even for what they're exposed to now in grade school and elementary school and high school. It's an important discussion. I would be careful about maybe oversharing, but just
yeah,
having because some of those details can be traumatic memories if too much is shared, but
yeah.
definitely educating your children about addiction and what it can look like and how its choices being made when you're in, essentially sick, you're struggling with a disease, a disorder, because I know it can be painful to think that, they might think that it's their fault, their parent is using because of something that they did, when that's not the case. So I think that there's hopefully opportunities for them to learn about addiction from the one parent that isn't, a blaming situation, more of an educational about, what exactly the disease looks like and how it can manifest itself as far as how other people are treated around it.
I think it's great that are putting it through the lens of a disease, which is what it is, but,
Mhm.
as opposed to person is bad or, as you said, blaming and because it is insidious. And I know that that many people really struggle with, even those people who do go into recovery can struggle with staying, away from whether it's the alcohol or the drugs. It's hard. Relapses are, I don't know, how common are they? Relapses.
Relapse, it's pretty common. I know that it's mind blowing that I'll be turning 17 years sober in a few weeks. I mean, that's just like something I can't even,
Congratulations. Yeah.
thank you, like wrap my brain around. But I know, being in the recovery community in Orange County, California for all of these years, all the people that I've known that have relapsed along the way, but then they come back. It just so much of what we talk about in recovery circles is people, places, and things. And if you don't really take a hard look at those and be open to changing those, then you may not have your best defenses in your court if something were to be put in front of you. If you're returning to the same places or hanging out with those same people, it could be a matter of time before something's just put in front of you one day and you think, okay, why not? So I would say it's very, very common. What's important though, and what I've seen along the years with people that do relapse is they just really beat themselves up if they do slip, and it's an ongoing battle. And if we go back to treating it like the disease model, and if
Mhm.
somebody I know that diabetic is an example that's often brought up. So if they slip on their plan of taking care of themselves, we don't shame them, we don't look down upon them or ostracize them because they messed up with their treatment plan. We encourage them to just get right back onto taking care of themselves. And
Sure.
that's how we should kind of treat people that have relapsed from a substance use disorder. Just support them and hopefully they can find their way back to the coping skills and the healthy daily living skills that they've learned that had gotten them sober up until that point.
So one of the things that, you and I talked about a little bit before we jumped on here is how if you've made the choice to end your relationship with this person, they are have time with the kids where, they're maybe they are using the Soberlink device or whatever, maybe it's supervised visits and you get free time, that it can be really it could be like a vacuum, right?
Mhm.
Where you're so used to focus, I don't say focusing, but everything kind of centers around the person with the addiction,
Yeah.
and when we're in their orbit, you know what I mean? And so can you talk a little bit about, what might be helpful to the person that doesn't have substance abuse in that relationship?
Yeah, I mean that goes back a little bit to the codependency, which so part of planning for this roadmap when you're getting ready to have a co-parenting arrangement in place, and once that routine is established, and for all what we want ideally is for things to work out, for the co-parenting arrangement to work out, and say in an instance where they're on a sober monitoring program, they're doing well with that too. All of a sudden you're left with that vacuum, that policing role that you're so used to um you know uh playing for so many years. For example, you're used to worrying and checking up on them and doing all these extra steps that just to kind of, not to spy on them, but to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. All of a sudden they're doing well, and then what do you do with all that extra time? There is that gap. So that's one of the things that's recommended, is to, in your roadmap of planning for co-parenting and planning for that separation, is to have with friendships, activities, hobbies, different things, new healthy habits in place to replace the unhealthy habits of the policing role and the worrying that you had when the person was not doing so well. And one of the great things about, say, the Soberlink monitoring program is you get these results in real time. So you're able to go about your daily life, and you're notified in the event of a compliant test or a non-compliant test or a missed test. So you're not having to sit by the phone or sit on a computer and wait for results or updates. You're able to kind of start living your life free from the clutches of the codependency and clutches of addiction.
Thank you for that. I'm curious if is there data around addiction in families, and whether kids of someone with an alcohol use or a substance use disorder, are they more likely to end up in that position that with the disease themselves?
There is a definite genetic link.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My sister has been in recovery for over 30 years.
Wow.
We're both in our 50s, so she got sober when she was a teenager, much to my dismay. I wasn't ready for that
Big party buddy.
yeah, when I was in high school, I wasn't ready for that big news. I mean, that was in the 80s, so it was very hush hush and stigmatized
Sure.
back then. But yeah, we can, if you go through your family tree, and that's another thing about people reaching out and asking for help is, what's going on behind people's closed doors. There's a lot going on there, that isn't talked about. But the addiction conversation, you'll people would be surprised how many families it's impacted.
Yes.
If you're willing to open up and share and be vulnerable, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling with it.
Mhm.
But yes, there is a genetic component. So then that is something definitely to take a look at with your either looking at grandparents and aunts and uncles and your own parents, and
Yeah.
then kind of with your children as they start to be getting into experimental ages, just kind of keeping an eye on there's that normal partying experimental phase that they may engage in, and just kind of keep eyes on that, and help them be aware. I'm amazed that my two nephews who are in high school haven't touched anything yet. My sister
Oh,
and
yeah.
I are just blown away. Like the trauma we put our mother through when we were in high school. I just can't believe she's got
Yeah.
these two great boys right now that are just
Oh,
good kids.
well, that's wonderful to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was horrified to learn that vaping starts in middle school. So,
Mm.
I realized that that's just the beginning. So
Yeah.
I'm staring down the barrel of middle school come September, so I'm sort of
Oh
not
God.
horrified.
Yeah.
If if you have anything that you would want to say to someone who is either struggling with substance use disorder or has someone in their life who is, any other words of wisdom or anything that you'd want to leave them with here?
Yeah, I mean, if the other parent, if the co-parent they think is struggling, I would bring up bring up the subject in a compassionate way and not an accusatory way. It'll just drive that person away and cause them to be on the defense. But if it's something you can possibly bring up to discuss together for the sake of, children's safety, and not really like shaking my finger at you and judging you, that might be a better way to go about it. But for you to know that you are completely validated and asking for help, that it's out there. There are some amazing resources just by Googling. And there's some really great things that you can find on YouTube too, where you can just sit back and kind of listen to people speaking and sharing. There's some great like AA speaker meetings of people talking about their experiences. And it's just on YouTube. It's pretty incredible what's available out there. And then treatment centers' websites will often have great resources listed. If you're interested in parenting programs, parenting monitoring programs with Soberlink, we have a whole section on our website, soberlink.com, that is for family law, for the client facing, that you can see what's available, and then also for family law professionals. So if you were wondering if you're working with an attorney, there's a whole section for attorneys and guardian ad litem, although the family law professionals, there's a bunch of resources there. If you're wondering how to really get started, or, well, I'm totally open to sharing my contact information as well.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, Allie.
Thank you. And we'll put your contact info maybe in the show notes if anyone wants to reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also familylaw@soberlink.com is the direct email for that comes to me and the family law team if you have any questions. But also my direct contact info, I'm happy to share.
Amazing. Laura, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you too. Thanks, Allie.
Our stories are the thread that ties us together. While our stories are different, we can often find common ground through our struggles. If co-parenting has been difficult due to an ex's alcohol abuse, you need Soberlink. How it works is simple. Your co-parent will test at scheduled times. Built-in facial recognition confirms their identity. Tamper sensors flag any attempts to cheat, and results get sent instantly to your phone so you know that your kids are with a sober parent. Lay the groundwork for brighter days ahead. Visit www.soberlink.com/coffee to learn more and get $50 off your device. What'd you think, Jill?
I thought it was great. I'm sad that I wasn't there. You guys are awesome. I mean, it's such an important topic, so I'm so grateful that you were able to do it.
Thank
And
you.
Laura's
It was
awesome.
weird to do it without you, but Laura was wonderful, and I really hope that this episode gives hope to people and inspires some people to get the support that they need,
Yeah.
or the
And
help that they need.
Soberlink can be like such a great resource for people. I often hear like in co-parenting situations where they're worried about the safety of
Exactly.
their kids. This can really relieve some of that, which is so important.
I can't imagine, how hard it must be to hand off your most precious babies
Hmm.
to their other parent who, and worry about whether or not they're behaving safely or not. So I can totally get how this is a really helpful tool.
Yeah, definitely.
So Jill, we have a new story this week.
Yes, and we're kind of sticking with our theme, which is cool. And this story is called A Thousand Chances. I think that's probably an underestimate of how many chances I gave. Maybe a million, each time a little different, a new idea, a new strategy to help, a bright-eyed optimism. I look back now and realize I was enabling your addiction. I thought I could love you through it. I thought our family was enough. But of course, addiction is more complex than that. If you didn't want to, you wouldn't. I understand that it's a disease that you suffer from and that that we as a family suffer from. Even understanding that doesn't make it better, doesn't make me less pissed at you, and doesn't stop the pain our kids feel from your disease. It doesn't make me less lonely or less tired. I can't tell anymore if I hate you or your addiction. Are they one and the same? How did I get here? When I finally decided to leave for the last time, unlike all the other times, I could see in our kids' faces the relief. They didn't have to walk on eggshells anymore or wonder what mood or state you were in. That's when I knew that my 1,000 chances isn't fair to them. Now we've been apart for a year. It's been a weird, good, bad, happy, terrifying, wonderful year. I see the difference in our kids. I see them at home relaxed, and I know I made the right decision for them because now they only see your addiction in small clips instead of all day. Not that it won't affect them, but I hope it will give them some safe space to distance themselves from it. I truly hope you are able to be sober, but not for me or us or even our kids, but for you. And that's it.
Wow.
Yeah, that is so hard.
How strong and brave
Yeah.
was this person to, I mean, first of all, give 1,000 chances. That, God, does that resonate?
Right? There's a needs in every, not just in
Yeah,
addiction,
yeah,
so
yeah,
many women in so many
yeah.
situations.
Walking on eggshells, that's really
Yeah.
hard. And, um, you know, making the decision for your kids. And, I can understand too, like not wanting to have walked away lightly, right? But
Right.
finally saying enough is enough.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish this person the best and send them strength because maybe I don't need to. It sounds like they have a lot of strength of their own. So
Right. Yeah. Moms are pretty amazing.
yeah, we can be, can't we?
And don't forget to share your stories because these really, really matter. And we love to hear them and we love to see you guys, just kick ass.
Yeah, I second that, and also to say, if you have a friend who is co-parenting, please share us with them
Mhm.
and follow us on Instagram, join our Facebook group. We would really love to see more folks engaging with us over there. So
Well,
I
thank
hope
you for
everyone
sharing.
enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us for Co-Parenting and Coffee. This podcast is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal advice on any subject matter. If you liked our podcast, feel free to drop us a review. We'd appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you next time for a cup of coffee and a chat with another expert on co-parenting.